Good evening, guys. Okay. Y'all have probably seen and heard a lot of this. I've got some negative comments on videos, certainly negative comments on Twitter pointing this out. But one thing I am completely fed up hearing about is people whining about the cost of housing. Oh my God, everything's so expensive. I can't buy a house. Poor, poor me. Right? You've all heard this. Back in 1950, you could raise a family. You could buy a house on one income. Right? Okay. We don't have a housing problem in expenses. Where we have a housing problem is in the availability. Now, a lot of people are going to hate what I have to say, but I'm sorry, the numbers are the numbers, and it is what it is, okay? J.D. Vance was absolutely correct in an interview this week when he said what we need to have is 5 million more houses built. Yes, we do, okay? But we need, wasp flying around the house, figure that one out. Okay, but what we need are starter homes built. And I want to give you this because the comparison to 1950, which obviously I wasn't alive for, totally pisses me off. And so I just had a interesting conversation with somebody arguing this point. And he's like, oh, the home price in 1950 was $7,400 and the income was $3,300. That's a price to income ratio of 2.2. Where now it's $430,000 for a house and a household income is $84,000. That's 5 to 1. Okay, so he's trying to explain that it's like double. Here's the convenience stuff is always left out by the whiners, right? I want to give you this. So I went and looked up. In 1950, the average square footage of a house was 983 square feet. In 2025, the average square footage of a house is 2,408 square feet. 2.5 times the size, okay? So if you break that out, in 1950, you were paying $7.53 a square foot. On a $3,300 annual income, the square foot to income ratio was 438 to 1. In 2025, your square foot to income ratio, 2025, on average, is $178.57. Okay. So your square foot to income ratio in 2025 is 470 to 1. Yes, houses are about 10% more on a square footage to income ratio than they were in 1950. May I remind people, in 1950, houses didn't have air conditioning. How much does that cost? Right? Okay. Houses didn't have granite countertops. Houses had one bathroom, etc., etc. We don't have a expense problem. We have an affordability problem in the fact that the market is not building the correct type housing, okay? We need to be building smaller homes, not tiny homes, not sheds, okay? That's going completely opposite the other side of the deal. But whatever happened to the young couple, I'd say this anymore now, a young couple is in their early 30s, because back in the 1950s, you were getting married at 21, 22 years old. Maybe the guys were 25, okay, thereabouts, and they were able to buy a house. Yeah, they didn't buy the mansion on the hill. They bought the little house on the suburban street that they had maybe, an eighth of an acre. And that was their starter home. 938 square feet. Probably had 2 bedrooms. Okay. One for mom and dad, one if maybe they had the baby. That was it. Or the kid, if they had 2, the kids shared a room. And then a few years down the road, mom and dad had a little equity in that house, and they went and bought a bigger house. What a freaking concept. They didn't go, I'm 22, I'm 25. You know what, honey? Let's go buy the biggest house out on the market right now. No, they didn't do that. Real simple reason. They couldn't afford it. Okay? I completely understand where people are saying houses are unaffordable. It's because we stopped building all the affordable housing and started building all the McMansions, which everybody seemed to want because everybody was going, the stock market's going to pay for everything. I mean, trust me, remember back in the late 90s, people were taking home equity loans. I've got to take out a HELOC so I can put it in pets.com. And you see the same thing now. I'm going to go take out a home equity loan so I can go put it in Bitcoin. Yeah, how well's that working out for you? Okay. Not exactly a smart decision. Like I said, J.D. Vance is right. We need to build 500 or 5 million new homes. We need to build smaller homes, not projects, not apartments, not 15-minute cities. We need a builder to come out with the cojones to go build a nice 1,000-foot, 1,200-foot, square foot house, maybe has a 1-car garage, and be able to get couples in the house. Because, the other thing that might do is build some sort of sense of community for those people, because you're going to have a lot of people that are the same age doing it. And you're going to teach a little bit of financial responsibility, hopefully. The other side, and I know I'll probably hear this, and you're probably right, is if you build houses like that, you're going to get the low-income, gee, I'm going to go out gangbanging, I'm going to use this as a drug den house. You could possibly get that too. But if you put communities like this in, I don't know, say your average middle class area that's not going to put up with the ghetto culture, you probably won't attract the ghetto culture. It's about time we start pushing our cities, our companies to start helping with this. We don't need the 2,400 square foot houses. Hell, my house isn't 2,400 square feet. It's 1,900, and the way they do it in Tennessee is they count covered porches as square footage. The inside of my house indoors is about 1,600 square feet. Plenty of freaking room for me and Mrs. Pete. Plenty. Okay? No problem. Don't need bigger. Don't need granite countertops. Don't need all the bells. You know what? I need a house that's got a movie theater in it. Right, because they had those in the 1950s. Start talking to your community leaders and say, this is what we need. And I'm not talking to the people my age. I'm talking to the millennials and Zoomers. Go talk to city council. Go talk to your mayor and say, why don't they do this? Why don't we start approving permitting for this in these areas? There's people, look, a small house is $600,000. Yeah, well, when you're talking about on Long Island, okay, But it's funny because as I was researching this, I was looking around in my area, okay, Knoxville, not out in the woods, all right, Knoxville. You can find these small houses for sale for about $200K. Guys were showing them in Iowa for $175. Okay, you're going to have a little bit of a commute. Welcome to the real world. We've all had those commutes when we started. I mean, I don't even want to give you mine when I was living in Chicago. I mean, I had a half an hour drive to the train station so I could take a 45-minute train to the city so I could take a 10-minute walk to the office. Okay, there you go. Hour and a half commute each way. That was it. Plus I had to pay for a train ticket, plus I had to pay for a parking spot, plus I had to pay for the gas. Okay. You're not getting any sympathy from me, people. Kids, it can be done. You just have to look in the right areas. When you're young, the world is your oyster. Nothing is tying you down. Nobody says you have to live in New York or Boston, but that's where the jobs are. No, they're not. The jobs are everywhere. Sure. Maybe not everywhere. But you know what? There's plenty of jobs in, I don't know, Shreveport or Omaha or Cheyenne or Bismarck or Springfield. There's jobs there too that are a lot more affordable areas to live than New York City, San Francisco, LA, Boston. If you look hard enough, if you want something bad enough, you will find it. It may not be perfect. I guarantee you it won't be. But you know what? That'll be the opportunity to learn, because I certainly don't think you have them, some skills on home repair and improvement that, guess what? Your parents had to learn too. Pinball out.